Last week, a 72-year-old patient rushed into my clinic, trembling because her blood pressure had spiked again while she was simply sitting in her living room. No stress, no warning, just a sudden surge that left her dizzy and afraid. And yet, the solution that finally calmed her pressure wasn't a pill or a machine. It was a tiny hand stretch she could do anywhere in less than 20 seconds. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Howard Tucker, longevity doctor with decades of clinical practice. And sitting across from me is someone who has guided generations through illness, stress, and recovery with over a century of wisdom. Japan's oldest practicing physician, Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara.
Thank you, Howard. And let me start by saying this. Most seniors don't realize that the hands are one of the body's fastest pressure control switches. But once you learn how to activate the nerves and vessels inside them, your entire cardiovascular system responds within minutes.
And that's the part no one talks about. Seniors believe high blood pressure only comes from the heart or the arteries in the neck. But research from the Japanese Society of Hypertension shows that stimulating specific hand muscles can lower systolic pressure by improving vascular flexibility and calming the sympathetic nervous system, the system that spikes pressure when you're stressed, tense, or even just dehydrated.
Exactly. And the problem we're solving today is simple, but dangerous. After 60, the blood vessels in the hands stiffen faster than the ones in the legs. That stiffness sends shockwaves upward, forcing the heart to work harder even when the body is at rest. That's why so many seniors say, "My pressure was normal yesterday. Why did it suddenly spike today?"
In this episode, we're going to break that mystery wide open. You're going to discover the exact hand stretch that relaxes the arterial tree, improves circulation, and signals the brain to lower pressure naturally. And trust me, once you feel how quickly your body responds, you'll never skip it again.
But we're not giving everything away right now. We'll reveal how it works, why it works, the mistakes seniors make, and the safest way to use this stretch at home, especially if you already struggle with pressure swings, dizziness, cold fingers, or stress. So stay with us, because if you're over 60 and your pressure rises for no reason, today's hand stretch method may be the missing link your doctor never told you about.
Doctor, let's dive right in because most seniors listening right now have no idea the hands even influence blood pressure. When we think pressure, we think heart, arteries, maybe kidneys, but never the hands. So what exactly is happening inside the palm that makes the stretch so powerful?
Howard, the secret lies in a network of tiny muscles and vessels in the hand called the palmar arch. These vessels are incredibly responsive. When you open and stretch the hand in a specific way, you activate mechanoreceptors, pressure-sensitive nerves, that travel through the median and ulnar nerves straight to the brainstem. That region controls vascular tone. So, when you stimulate the palm correctly, the brain sends a signal that relaxes the arteries throughout the entire body.
And that relaxation is what brings pressure down naturally. Seniors often describe that warm, calming sensation in the arms after the stretch, and that's exactly what we want. Better blood flow, softer vessel walls, less resistance.
Exactly. And here's the part seniors need to hear. After age 60, the arteries in the hands stiffen up faster than almost anywhere else. They're exposed to cold air, repetitive motions, even medications that dry the tissues. That stiffness sends a stress signal to the heart. The heart doesn't know the problem is in the hands. It just reacts by pumping harder.
That explains why so many seniors tell me, my pressure spikes in the evening even when I'm not stressed. The body is responding to tension it can't identify. So this hand stretch is like flipping a breaker switch. It tells the heart, everything is okay. You don't need to push so hard.
Correct, and I want seniors to understand this clearly. This is not just a stretch, it's a neurological reset. In Japan, a 2020 study found that a simple daily palm extension routine lowered systolic pressure by an average of 8 to 12 points in adults over 65. That's comparable to what many medications achieve, but without side effects.
And what I love most is that it's accessible. No equipment, no struggle. You can do it while sitting, watching TV, waiting for your kettle to boil, even before bed, to calm the nervous system.
Yes. And because the hand muscles fatigue quickly, even short stretches create large benefits. When the palm fully opens, blood flow increases almost instantly. That sends warmth up the forearm, softens the shoulders, and signals the parasympathetic system, the calming branch of the nervous system, to turn on.
So for the seniors listening right now, this means something important. If your pressure feels unpredictable, your hands may be the hidden trigger. And by restoring flexibility there, you restore control everywhere. Doctor, everyone listening right now is probably holding their hand up already, wondering, all right, what exactly do I do? So let's walk them through it, step by step, slowly enough to follow, but clearly enough that they can start trying it today.
Absolutely, Howard. And seniors, as you listen, remember, this stretch is gentle. It should never feel painful. Think of it as waking the hand up, not forcing it. So here's how it begins. First, extend one arm straight out in front of you with the elbow soft, not locked. Then open your palm as if you're signaling someone to stop. Spread the fingers wide, especially the thumb, and feel the stretch across the entire palm. Hold that for 5 seconds.
And that alone is enough to trigger those pressure-lowering nerves we talked about, right?
Yes, but we enhance the effect by adding one more layer. After the 5-second hold, gently pull the fingers back with the opposite hand. Not aggressively, just until you feel that warm, lengthening sensation from the wrist to the palm. Hold again for 3 seconds, then relax. And the most important part is the rhythm. The opening of the hand, the widening of the fingers, and the gentle backward pull activate the palmar fascia. That fascia is directly connected to the main arteries of the forearm.
And that connection is what makes the stretch so powerful, because when the fascia releases, blood flow improves instantly. You can almost feel the warmth spreading up the arm when it's done correctly.
Exactly. And now we add the final part, the fist. After the stretch, slowly curl the fingers into a loose fist, not tight. This activates the opposite set of nerves in the hand. You hold the fist for 3 seconds, then open the hand again fully. That opens the vascular tree. Repeat this cycle. Open wide, gentle pull, relax, soft fist, open wide. About 6 to 8 times per hand.
And it takes what, 1 minute total?
Yes, 1 minute per hand is perfect. Seniors often think lowering blood pressure requires drastic lifestyle changes. But this small movement improves vascular flexibility, increases nitric oxide release, and calms the sympathetic nervous system. That's the trifecta for pressure control.
I've had patients tell me they can literally feel their shoulders drop after doing this, like a wave of calm moving through the chest.
That's the parasympathetic activation. When the hand relaxes, the cardiovascular system relaxes. And for many seniors, that's the piece they've been missing for years.
Doctor, this is where things get interesting, because seniors always ask the same question after learning a new routine. When should I do it? Morning, evening, before meals, after? And the truth is, timing can completely change the impact on blood pressure.
Absolutely, Howard. The timing is almost as important as the stretch itself. The best moment to do this hand stretch is right when the nervous system is the most reactive. And that happens 3 times a day. First thing in the morning before getting out of bed. Late afternoon when blood pressure naturally rises. And finally in the evening before sleep, when the body is trying to transition out of stress mode.
That makes sense. Most seniors don't realize their blood pressure isn't constant. It has peaks and valleys. Morning is a spike zone. Late afternoon is a spike zone. And nighttime can be unpredictable.
Exactly. After 60, the circadian rhythm that controls pressure becomes less stable, so when we use this stretch during those key windows, we're coaching the body back into rhythm. Morning stretching lowers the morning surge, which research shows is one of the strongest predictors of heart attack and stroke in seniors. Afternoon stretching reduces tension accumulated from sitting, dehydration, or small stressors throughout the day. And evening stretching activates the parasympathetic system, helping seniors fall asleep faster and more deeply.
And the best part? Each session is just 1 minute per hand. That means a full day's pressure support takes 4 minutes total. That's easier than brushing your teeth.
And here's something important I want every senior listening to hear. You don't need to do long sessions for this to work. That's the biggest misconception, like the hand vessels are small and highly responsive. Even brief stimulation has an outsized impact. But consistency is everything. If you practice this stretch once a day, you'll feel calmer. Twice a day, you'll notice steadier energy and fewer pressure spikes. 3 times a day, that's when we see the strongest improvements in clinical studies. Lower systolic pressure, less stiffness in the arteries, and reduced feelings of internal tightness.
I've had patients who used to rely heavily on evening pressure checks tell me this routine helped them feel more in control, less anxious about their numbers, and more confident in their own body.
And that confidence matters. When seniors feel they have a tool that actually works, they relax. And when they relax, the body responds. Health improves not just physically, but emotionally. This stretch becomes a quiet anchor throughout the day, something small, gentle, and healing.
Doctor, now we get into the part that truly surprises people. The actual science behind why something as small as opening and stretching the hand can lower blood pressure throughout the entire body. Most seniors assume pressure can only be changed by the heart, kidneys, or medication, but research keeps revealing otherwise. So let's unpack what's really going on beneath the skin.
Yes, Howard, because the hand is far more connected to the cardiovascular system than most people realize. First, when you stretch the palm, the mechanoreceptors send rapid signals through the median and ulnar nerves into the brainstem's nucleus tractus solitarius, the command center that controls heart rate, vessel dilation, and pressure balance. When this center receives a relaxation signal from the hand, it activates the parasympathetic system, slowing the heart slightly and relaxing the arteries. That alone lowers pressure within seconds.
And that's just one layer. The second layer is something many seniors have never heard of: nitric oxide. When you stretch the palm wide, especially the thumb and index finger, the endothelial cells inside the hand's arteries release nitric oxide. This gas gently opens the blood vessels, reducing resistance and improving circulation. And improving circulation is one of the fastest ways to drop systolic pressure naturally.
Exactly. And here's another hidden mechanism. The hand has one of the body's densest capillary networks. When you stretch, blood rushes into these tiny vessels. The body responds by redistributing pressure outward, reducing the load on larger arteries like the brachial and radial arteries. It's a pressure buffering effect. Japanese researchers call this microcirculatory unloading, and it's especially powerful for adults over 60 because their vessels tend to stiffen with age.
And a stiff artery is a high-pressure artery. That's why the stretch feels warm. That warmth is increased circulation and reduced arterial tension.
Exactly. And here's something that often surprises my patients. The flexor tendons that run through the palm attach to the forearm, which connects to the upper arm, which connects to the shoulder. When you relax the palm, the muscles up the entire arm release. And when the shoulders drop, the sympathetic nerves along the spine quiet down. Less sympathetic activation means lower blood pressure.
So the stretch is like pulling a thread that unravels stress all the way up the nervous system. That explains why people say they feel calmer, lighter, and even sleepier afterward.
Yes. Pressure is not just physical. It is neurological. It is emotional. When the hand relaxes, the mind follows, and the heart responds. Sometimes the smallest switch controls the largest system.
Doctor, now that seniors know how to do the stretch and when to do it, we need to talk about the part that can make or break the results: the mistakes. because even simple movements can lose their power if they're done incorrectly. And I've noticed many seniors unintentionally create more tension instead of reducing it.
Absolutely, Howard. And the first mistake I see is squeezing the hand too hard. Many seniors think they need to work the muscles. But this stretch is not about strength. It's about opening. When the hand is forced, the body interprets it as stress, not relaxation. That actually pushes pressure up, not down.
That makes perfect sense because the nervous system reacts to effort. So if someone is straining, they're sending the exact opposite message we want.
Exactly. The second mistake is rushing through the movement. Seniors often do the stretch quickly, like checking it off a list. But the mechanoreceptors in the palm only respond fully when the stretch is slow, steady, and deliberate. Fast stretching skips past the calming signals entirely.
I've seen that so often. A patient will tell me, it didn't work, and when I watch them, they're moving so fast the body doesn't have time to react.
Yes, and the third mistake is forgetting about the thumb. People open the fingers but leave the thumb tight. The thumb is the gateway to the radial artery. When it isn't stretched, the full palm doesn't open, and the nitric oxide release is weaker. A wide thumb is essential.
And here's one more I notice, holding the breath. Seniors tend to inhale sharply when stretching, then forget to exhale. But breath is what allows the nervous system to shift into relaxation. Without it, the stretch only activates the muscles, not the blood vessels.
Exactly. The exhale is the key. When the breath is soft, the body understands the stretch as a calming signal, not a defensive one. And another subtle mistake is locking the elbow. A locked elbow tightens the forearm and blocks proper blood flow. Keeping the arm soft allows circulation to move freely from the palm into the upper arm.
That's such an important detail. These small habits can change everything. And I think the last mistake we should mention is inconsistency. Seniors do it once or twice, feel a little relief, and then forget. But the benefits compound over time.
Yes. This stretch is like watering a plant. A little every day keeps the system flexible, responsive, and calm. Miss a week, and the vessels stiffen again. But done consistently, it becomes one of the most reliable, natural tools for blood pressure support.
Doctor, as we wrap this conversation, I keep thinking back to that patient I mentioned earlier, the one whose blood pressure spiked while she was sitting quietly in her living room. She thought something catastrophic was happening inside her heart, but the real issue was hidden inside her hands, and the moment she learned how to release that tension, her pressure came down in minutes. It makes you wonder how many seniors are living with fear, thinking their body is unpredictable, when in reality it's been sending messages they simply didn't know how to decode.
Yes, Howard, and that is the part I want every senior listening to let sink in. The body is never mysterious without reason. It always speaks, sometimes with heat in the hands, sometimes with stiffness in the fingers, sometimes with a sudden rise in pressure that has nothing to do with age or disease. These signals are not warnings of weakness. They are invitations, quiet reminders that circulation, nerves, and the heart are more connected than anyone ever taught us.
And once that connection is understood, everything changes. The fear softens. The tension loosens. Seniors begin noticing things they've ignored for years. Their hands warming faster after a stretch, their chest feeling lighter, their evenings calmer. It's not magic. It's physiology responding the moment it's given the right cue.
That's true, and what I hope seniors feel after this episode is possibility. Because if one hand stretch can shift the entire cardiovascular system, imagine what happens when they combine it with better breathing, gentle movement, hydration, or even posture. Health after 60 isn't about fighting age. It's about restoring communication. Once the body remembers how to speak, the mind remembers how to listen.
And the listening often leads to something unexpected. A moment where seniors realize their pressure hasn't spiked all week, or their hands don't feel as cold, or they're falling asleep faster, because the nervous system isn't fighting them anymore. These quiet improvements are the beginning of something larger, something that tells me we're just scratching the surface.
Yes. Because this stretch is only the first door. There are others, Tools hidden in places seniors never think to look. Tools as simple as how they breathe while standing, or what they do with their feet before bed, or how they move their shoulders when they wake. And once they discover those, the body responds even more deeply.
Maybe the real question now is this. If the hands hold this much power over blood pressure, what other simple habits have been overlooked?